Okay, so once we finish the grinding, we take out the air compressor and we blow the channels out, and we're left with a nice clean chase that we can now fill with our epoxy plasters and or epoxy cements. And now, what I've done here as well is I cut an extra channel crosswise because the crack went so deep and so long. I cut an extra channel here and here. Now I've got two small pieces of rebar which I'm just going to pop into these holes right here, and they'll just give it extra strength laterally, so that that crack doesn't continue. And so the next step now is going to be to take our polymeric mortar and fill the crack. Okay, now that our cracks have been have had the chases cut over them, and I've cut a couple of cross pieces for little bits of rebar, it's time to actually fill the cracks. Now I'm using a product by Mappy Industries. It's called Planetop XS. Now this stuff is a surface repair concrete. It's a GFRC mix, and it's designed for strong adhesion, and it's a very dense mixture, and so it's really hard and really sticky and extremely strong. It's polymer modified. Now, one thing that's really nice about the Mappy XS is that you can go from filling in as much as 4 inches down to feathering out to nothing. So it's got that wide range of workable surfaces, and as well, its strength is a big bonus for you. Now, the couple of drawbacks with it is it does have a very short pot life. Once you mix this stuff, you've got like 15 minutes to work with it. So you don't want to be mixing very much. I just use styrofoam cups. I've got a little bit of water because that's all I'm going to need. And I've got some little wooden stirring sticks that I picked up at a craft store. And basically all this stuff is disposable. You have to work really fast with this stuff, because if you haven't finished what you're doing in 15 minutes, you're not going to finish. So don't mix very much of this stuff at all. I usually just use a teaspoon. I put about 4 or 5 teaspoons in my cup, and that's all I mix at a time. So, but with the Mappy, you just put a few teaspoons in the cup. You don't need very much at a time, and just a little bit of water. You just want to mix this stuff into a thick paste, and like I say, the cup is disposable, so put a little bit too much water in, so I'm going to get a little bit more product here. And just get a little more. Just want that just a little bit thicker yet. I've got it kind of runny. I'm going to be pouring it right into my crack. And I'm going to start at the rebar here. I'm just going to pour in a little bit, pop my rebar in there, and then just pour over it to cover it. and follow up that crack and just fill it. And like I say, you've got like 15 minutes to work with this stuff, so from the time you mix it until the time it is set is not very long. So you got just a little time to work with it. Once we get finished with this bench, this will be like it never had this crack here. So, but this stuff needs to harden and cure just like regular concrete. With the polymers, it'll be really quite well set here rather quickly, but the actual curing time is 14 to 28 days, just like concrete. So you have to treat it just like concrete for curing. What we'll do is we'll just let this set here, and then we'll get tomorrow we'll grind this off, and then we'll just treat it like ordinary concrete. We'll make a little more here. Like I said, just mix it up as you go. Never mix too much, because this stuff will set up incredibly fast on you. So this stuff, you can also use it for fixing broken corners. I use it whenever I break a corner off. If it's a small piece, I'll actually I'll just rebuild the entire corner rather than try and glue the old piece back on. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this is if you're planning on staining your piece. Now, this is considerably denser than your regular concrete, so it won't take the stain evenly with regular concrete. So what you will find is that you will have a very, very light section of stain, and then a rather heavily stained bench. I've got some benches here. I can show you a piece later on here. Where I had to adjust the staining quite a bit in order to get it to somewhat close match, but you won't get an exact match when you're staining. So if you do have to repair something, you might want to actually consider painting it instead of staining it, because it can be pretty difficult to get it to stain even. And where I started here is already starting to set up. It's already firm enough. I can't put my finger through it, so just shows you how fast this stuff does set up. That's about all there is to it. Have a good day. Okay, and this is what I was talking about with the stain working a little differently here. You can see that corner's been repaired, and you can see how differently it takes the stain from the rest of the surrounding concrete.